Imagine a people older than the borders that divide them. A nation without a country. A culture rich in music, poetry, and defiance. These are the Kurds, one of the largest stateless nations in the world. But how did a people of more than 40 million come to live fragmented across 5 countries? This is their story, a tale of resilience, betrayal, and an undying dream of freedom. A people of the mountains. For centuries, the Kurds have called the mountains their home. They often say, "The mountains are our only friends." This isn't just poetry, it reflects their history of survival. In these harsh, unforgiving landscapes, the Kurds forged a unique identity. Their language, Kurdish, is part of the Indo-European family, distinct from Arabic or Turkish, yet scattered into multiple dialects like Sorani, Kurmanji, and Zaza. Their culture thrived in isolation, shaped by the geography that shielded them from outside conquest, but also kept them divided. Empires and betrayals. The Kurdish story is inseparable from the rise and fall of empires. In ancient times, they were known as the Kardukians, fierce warriors who resisted the might of the Greek and Roman empires. Later, during the Islamic caliphates, many Kurds embraced Islam, and their leaders, known as Aghas and Pashas, gained influence in the Ottoman Empire. For centuries, the Ottomans allowed them autonomy in exchange for loyalty. But everything changed in the early 20th century. The Ottoman Empire crumbled after World War I, and Western powers carved up the Middle East. The 1920 Treaty of Sèvres promised the Kurds a nation of their own, a homeland called Kurdistan. For a brief moment, their centuries-old dream seemed within reach. That dream was shattered in 1923 when the Treaty of Lausanne replaced Sèvres. The Western powers abandoned the Kurds in favor of securing alliances with Turkey. Kurdistan was erased from the maps, and the Kurds were divided across Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Syria, and the Soviet Union. This betrayal sowed the seeds of a century-long struggle. Life under foreign rule. Under their new rulers, the Kurds faced systematic oppression. In Turkey, the Kurds were labeled Mountain Turks, their language banned and their culture suppressed. In Iraq, Kurdish uprisings were met with brutal crackdowns, including chemical attacks under Saddam Hussein. In Iran, Kurds were treated as second-class citizens, their rights limited by a central government suspicious of their autonomy. Across these nations, the Kurds rebelled time and time again. They fought for recognition, autonomy, and dignity. In Iraq, legendary leaders like Mustafa Barzani led the Kurdish struggle. In Turkey, the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, waged an armed insurgency for decades. But for every step forward, there seemed to be a greater pushback. The Kurdish identity, unbroken. Despite these challenges, the Kurds refused to disappear. Their traditions, like the Nowruz festival celebrating the Kurdish New Year, became acts of defiance. Their music and poetry spoke of loss, love, and resistance. Even their cuisine, rich in flavors from the mountains, became a way of preserving their identity. And above all, their dream of Kurdistan, a homeland for their people, remained alive. Whether in Turkey's rugged mountains, Syria's plains, or Iraq's autonomous Kurdish region, the idea of Kurdistan unites them. Modern-day Kurdistan, triumphs and challenges. In 1991, the Kurds of Iraq achieved a historic victory. Following the Gulf War, the United Nations established a no-fly zone over northern Iraq, effectively creating an autonomous Kurdish region. Today, Iraqi Kurdistan is the closest thing to an independent Kurdistan. It has its own government, military, the Peshmerga, and even foreign embassies. The Peshmerga, whose name means those who face death, gained international fame in the fight against ISIS. Their bravery not only protected their lands but also saved countless lives beyond their borders. But the story is far from over. In Turkey, Kurds still face political repression. In Iran, the Kurdish struggle for rights is overshadowed by the regime's authoritarian rule. And in Syria, Kurdish-led forces played a key role in defeating ISIS. But their autonomy remains under threat from Turkish military offensives. A stateless nation's global influence. The Kurdish struggle has gained global attention, inspiring solidarity movements worldwide. The Kurdish diaspora, now numbering millions, works tirelessly to keep their culture alive and their plight visible. From literature to politics, Kurds are making their mark on the world stage. Figures like Nadia Murad, a Yazidi Kurdish activist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate, bring the Kurdish story to international platforms. What lies ahead? The future of the Kurds remains uncertain. Will they achieve the independence they've long dreamed of? Or will they continue to navigate life as a stateless nation? One thing is clear, the Kurds are not just survivors, they are visionaries, dreamers, and fighters who refuse to be forgotten. History has often tried to erase the Kurds, but their story is one of persistence. A people without a country yet never without hope. This is the story of the Kurds, and it's far from over.